Welcome everybody back to Veil of Sound. It's Sunday, it's our regular video interview, and I am very happy, and I'm also a little bit proud to have somebody here on the show who I have been following for close to two decades by now. So I'm very happy to have Scott from Xasthur here on our little web show. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. The first question that I always ask, if you are wearing anything, is there band merch of the day that you are wearing?
I usually don't. I have a couple of shirts of bands, but not very many. I used to have a lot of them, and like I usually don't just wear black only because like logos and colors, it just doesn't look right on me, it looks kind of strange. But black, you can't go wrong just wearing black. It matches whoever you are, if all else fails, just wear black.
That's true. I mean, like Coco Chanel even said it. Anybody asks, in honor of who I'm talking to today, I selected a black metal shirt from Cologne's best ever black metal band, Ulfa. I know I have been pushing those guys a lot, so if you haven't heard them, check them out.
I was going to try to guess what it... I thought you were going to make me guess what it said.
Nah.
You're like...
I mean, like, we're both out of the age where we try to make people, this could be a huge... I mean, like, there are bands who just take that to the limit. And
I was gonna try to read it, but I mean, just like the music is like zebras and the logos are like zebras. You can't tell. I don't know how they tell each other apart, but I can't tell them apart very often. They all sound the same to me and all look the same.
Scott, where are we catching you right now? I know you live on the West Coast, but where more or less?
Right now I'm in Los Angeles. I'm from here originally, but I was gone for like 5 years, moving a lot of places. And I'm here. I don't say that I live here. I just say that I happen to be here for now.
Something that struck me about the new Xasthur record, Inevitably Dark, is how diverse it is. And therefore, I have to ask this, like, how eclectic is your music collection, or let's say your musical taste?
I don't really have the collection that I used to, like, CDs and vinyls, they come and go, it's easier for me to like listen to music when I'm driving in a car and a CD, and it's just like I can't really focus on anything that I discover on a phone. So it's like if I hear it on the phone, I'll just want to hear it in my car and stuff like that. So when I'm driving, but I like a lot of things, like I don't care if it's I just care that it's good, and like there has some soul to it, or if anything that's original has soul. And I like a lot of blues and jazz stuff, even though I just put on a jazz radio station, just listen to it for hours. I don't know who anybody is or any other names. I'm not like an encyclopedia on anything, but I like a lot of just stuff from the 80s and 70s a lot.
When you say that it's all about soul, is it also in a way all about the flow of things?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just like originality and soul, like doing something that only one person could think of and come up with. And um, you know, it's not, it doesn't have to be like minimal or to have soul. You know, it doesn't have to be totally complicated either. You know.
So is that also something that you strive for in your music, to find new ways of arranging and writing your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I just I'm like, how could it, I wonder how, you know, how could it be complicated but listenable? I wonder how it could be dark without being black metal. I wonder how it could be
Hmm.
discordant without being black metal. I wonder how it could be, you know, sound. I wonder how it could sound like a person uh, live, a real person is making it. I think about things like that a lot. You know, like I try to like do everything that I can. Like if I
Hmm.
do something, like um, at least at any given time, like if I do something that's not, you know, if I didn't do everything that I could do, then I would keep trying, keep doing more, keep adding to it, and you know, stuff like that. Like I mean, the mood has to be there, however mood I'm in, or however mood I sometimes I wish to be in.
Hmm.
Is something where I should be in. Like so I kind of, you know, as far as the atmosphere or vibe or mood is concerned, it's just you know, it's just how I feel.
Hmm.
You know, at the time, and like every song, you know.
Hmm. It's also very interesting when listening to the new record and now thinking about what you just said, and then looking at the title, Inevitably Dark. I mean, like, there are multiple ways of looking at it. It can either be just like a cynical response to, like, oh, what is your new record like? It's inevitably dark.
Yeah,
It could also be like playing with expectations of people. It could be a lot of things, or it could just be a reference to your real state of mind at that moment, which is dark. Tell us a little bit about it. How did you come up with a title? Did you think about those little puns and plays?
it's just you know, it's just kind of like a full circle kind of thing, you know. It's just like no matter what I do, like, you know, I could try to make something that's not dark or light, something that's just hopefully good, and like it's like, you know, like it's a good riff no matter what kind of music it is. You know, I think about that a lot, and I like stuff like that a lot. Like I don't know what genre this is. I don't care. It's just it's badass whether it's happy or not. You know, I don't
Mm,
care about that,
mm,
or happy or dark. It's just good. You know, there's some things are just like that, and um, I think that I just kind of no matter what I do, it'll just always come back like to being dark. Like there's
mm,
nothing I could. It's just the way I do things. It's just the way it is. You know, I could write something that was kind of I didn't really like 7 years ago, and you know, I don't like it, and it's dark. It's not dark, and you know, give it time. It'll inevitably eventually just end up being dark again someday. Just give it time. You know, it just comes back around to that. I think. You know.
So could the title at the same time also be kind of like a reference to your oeuvre? Like whatever you do, inevitably it's dark music,
Yeah,
like the
it's like
theme
that.
for yourself.
Yeah, it's just it's there's nothing I could really do about it. It's just the way it is. But you know, just the way it turns out, it's just going to be that way. eventually, or not so eventually. It's always going to be that way. Like um, I could do a lot. I don't want to do one thing within dark. I want to, if like it's like, well, fortunately or unfortunately, it always has to be dark. But the good news is, um, I'll do any kind of music that I
Mhm.
could think of, or like within that dark. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that like I'm stuck playing black metal for the rest of my life just because it's inevitably dark. It's just like, you know, I could, you know, make
Th-
some Madonna songs and they turn out dark. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Well, talking about Madonna having to cancel a tour yesterday, I mean, like, well, might not be the best comparison.
yeah, I mean, I could make up like a blues song and like do it
Yeah,
all wrong. It just turns out inevitably dark. It's just
yeah,
like, it's not about like, uh, it's not limited to one kind of genre of music
yeah.
at all. It's just whatever it may be, it'll be inevitably dark.
That's also something that I really like about the record, and we'll come back to the eclectic nature of a record in a moment. You have already mentioned it. The new record is black metal again, in a lot of different um, outings, in a lot of different ways, but it is at its core black metal. To make it clear for everybody, Xasthur is not going to be um, going back and doing black metal only. It's just a collection of songs, but at this very moment is you, right?
Right. I mean, it's like some people, a lot of people compromise and they say, we're no compromise. They're full of shit. They actually compromise a lot more than you think. They
Yeah.
compromise more than I do. And like, compromising is, you could say that, no, I refuse to compromise. And then like, I will totally sell out. You know what I mean? There's so like, it's compromising is something kind of in the middle. And that's what a
Mm.
compromise is anyway. It's like, I'm not going, um, I just, you know, I was curious if I could, well, let's see if, what would happen if I tried to make something that was kind of black metal today after, not having to do it for so long.
Mm.
Like I always felt like I had to do it. Well, this is what I do, and this is the kind of thing that I have to do. Is what expected of me. So it was that, that's how, you know, I like, I never thought, I assumed that I was going to be just like a lot of bands and fans. They think they just assume that they're going to be into this for the rest of their life. Uh, I assumed that I was going to be into it for the rest of my life until I'm like, I can't do this little, this one thing that everybody else is
Mm.
doing. I can't do it for the rest of my life. And I didn't, um, you know, so I didn't have, so I made myself not have to do it for
Mm.
10 years or so. So after 10 years, I thought, well, what would happen? I'm curious, do I still, like if I wanted to, I don't know if I want to or not really, but if I wanted to, could I still do it? And
You
I
can.
tried it out and I was surprised, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, it's the thing, like if anything or anybody, including myself, like made me feel like I had to do it, um, then I don't think I would have tried to
Mm.
do it. But it's because like I said, because I didn't have to. So, you know, I, I just, I just did it, and just out of curiosity. But it's not all bad.
It's funny what you call curiosity, because we both know dozens, hundreds of black metal bands that would give their left hand for a few of the songs that you produced on something that you call, oh, I just wanted to see if I can still do it. You can. You definitely can. Um, uh, were those 10 years in which you did not produce or write or publish black metal songs, were those 10 years also kind of a liberating act for you? Like, I gave people a lot of black metal when they wanted me to do it, and now I give myself what I want to do.
Yeah, totally. It's totally like that. Like, that's you're very accurate with that. It did feel that way. Um, but during those 10 years, it's just like the 10 years before them. Like I just, with black metal, like a long time ago, I figured it out as I went along, or tried to. And then after that was over, and with those 10 years or so that you're talking about, it was the same thing, like I know that I could find uh songs and riffs and that I can't find in black metal. That's why I do it, because I can't, like, especially, and that was and it barely seemed like that. Just a little, it was something. I sort of was getting those kind of results for a little while. And but like I said, like I'm learning as I go along, figuring it out as I go along. Like today, like it's 2023, it's turned into something that it's finally turned into something like not doing black metal. It's turned into something more than I even imagined or hoped for. It's like becoming like totally like technical. I mean, I don't really think there's such thing as technical black metal, but it's becoming like acoustic, unplugged, technical black metal uh, with technical beats and jazzy type of riffs and drumming that are all discordant and dark. And it's like when I play black metal, like I've heard this from myself before. I've heard this from 1,000 other bands. I'm like, and other people say, well, at least it's not what 1,000,000 other people are doing. It's only what 1,000 people are doing. I'm like, yeah, that's not good enough, for me. I've heard this before. Like I've heard, like, it's it's like there's only so much that you can do, like with one standard tuning,
Yeah.
power chords, with scratching on 2 strings, with 5 frets. There's only so, like, do the math, like I don't think there's any such thing as math metal anymore, because those people would be doing the math, you know, finding their possibilities with one standard tuning, scratching on 2 strings and a power chord, and you don't have infinite possibilities when you do. That's why I don't play black metal anymore. It's like I have to explain it, like maybe I have to do it with my hands. Power chords, everybody's done those. Even like that's been heard before. Scratching on 2 strings, only using 5 of the frets, one standard tuning. It's very limited.
Yeah.
And when you try 13 different tunings that have nothing to do with, E or D or C or B, or dropping down to A, like when you eliminate those, the possibilities, and you add 13 more that have nothing to do with those, the possibilities are endless, infinite. And that's why, and I'm learning that's what I'm learning more in 2023 than I ever have before. Like I finally used all that I'm talking about to my advantage. I've finally, like this year more than ever. But I'm sorry, I don't know if I
No, you did answer
answer
that.
that question.
You did answer the
Or
question, and I want to come a little bit back to what you mentioned in your answer. You spoke about tunings. You spoke also about genres indirectly, and that is something where the record is strikingly good. Inevitably Dark seems to be like a melange from I don't know how many genres. I've heard bluegrass on there. I've heard, I don't want to say techno, but like very technoid drums at a point. I've heard jazz, a lot of jazz, and a lot of groove. what struck me, on the other hand, is we have so many different tracks and different styles and tunings, but at the end, it's all one well-adjusted, fine-tuned record. How difficult was it to get all those tracks into one cohesive track list?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. This time it was that's actually like one of the hardest things for me to do. It's always been like I'll get like the first 2 out of 10, I'll it's perfect, and then after that, like I don't know what would work for me or work for the listener anymore, or what make then I mean, if I get a good track list from beginning to end, um it makes a difference, between, like, no matter how good it is, or how, it makes a difference between um how well it's received and how listenable it can be. But uh you need that flow for whatever kind of music it is. But it was really easy this time, because like um, you just have a total opposite. That's my idea. Following the following the song before. Like, you start off with a black metal song, and then what comes next? How about the song that's furthest from black metal that you could possibly get? That's the one that will go next. So that's how. So it's just easy, like opposites, like from track 1, track 2. Just pick the total opposite of that one. Track 3, pick one that's completely opposite from track 2, and that's all I had to do this time. It was pretty easy this time. But
you make it sound
yeah.
very easy. You make it sound very easy, and I love the kind of humble nature that you display in here. But everybody, I'm not sure if you have listened to Inevitably Dark, but if you listen to that, you will see that we have a master of his craft showing us what he's able to do. And interestingly, a lot of those moments where I noticed that clearly were the non-black metal tracks. A track like Psychiatric Carelessness, which is an acoustic track, or semi-acoustic, however you want to define it. You basically just use one guitar line over a very simple and nice synth sound. But every once in a while, you disrupt the flow by adding 1 or 2 notes into the guitar line to disrupt the flow just for a tiny little bit. And with that, you catch everybody's attention again. These little details in the arrangements, are these little details your idea of keeping people on the edge of their seats, or is it something that just comes naturally to you?
I really like it when I interrupt myself in the middle of writing. And that's really what it is. It's like I'm like, okay, I think I got something here, and I change it, right, like, and then add turn a mistake into something that isn't a mistake, change it a little bit, and then get back to the second half of it. Like, I interrupt myself in the middle. I really like it. Like, when I play stuff that's like really fast, I do that a lot. It just, like, it just means you kind of the more that happens, I realize the more I'm having like an overload of ideas. That's kind of a nice problem to have.
Yeah, surely. And just to make it clear, I found myself searching for those little moments in all of the tracks, and I found them in all of the tracks. So it's really, really good. You just mentioned that you basically interrupt yourself while writing the songs. That is, of course, a question that I have to ask. How long have these songs already been in the pipeline? How long have you been working on them?
Oh, I guess those ones for Inevitably Dark, um, it didn't really take me that long because like I knew what I knew the plan, and I had a plan, and I stuck to it. And it's just like, of course, if you're figuring out the plan as you're going along, that that slows it down. Like that makes it take forever. But I knew what to do. I knew like um I was gonna figure out how, like, you're gonna do like at least five different genres. Maybe, who knows, maybe it'll be six or seven when you're done. And um I was just on a roll, with that. Like I'm on a roll with, if I could stick to one style, I could get on a roll with that too. But um I was on a roll with four or five, six different styles of, and I had a plan. So it was two things. I was just on a roll like I always am. Plus, what made it happen faster was having a plan, you know.
Mhm. It's very, very interesting. And then, you've already said did you like really define genres that you would like to include? Because that's the way it sounded right now.
No, I mean, I just do any kind of uh, genre. The only way I know, or the only way that I can, like it doesn't, um, you know, just like, oh, that's not the kind of death metal that everybody else does. People say that. I'm like, well, yeah, I wasn't trying to compete with, everybody tries to compete with each other. I'm not. I'm competing with myself, and I'm just doing it the way that I'm just doing it the way that I can. Maybe it's
Mhm.
good enough. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's too weird. That's maybe people don't do it like that anymore. Or maybe it's not what other people are doing. Doesn't sound like you know doesn't sound like a triple rectifier or something like that. I don't know. That's how I approach just everything, really. It's just, like, I'm just doing all that I can. And all the songs being different. Um, it's I'm just doing my job, believe it or not. I mean, it's not my job to give people the same
Mhm.
thing
Mhm.
over and
Mhm.
over. It's and it's not my job either to give them like stuff that's so different that it sucks. It's my job to improve and make something that totally compensates for what I was doing before, and do it different, surprise people, catch them off guard, piss them off. That's my job. If I just, you know, sound like everybody else and say everything else that I'm supposed to say, just like
Mhm.
everybody else, uh, not make a change, then I'm not doing my job. And they'll complain about that too. They're just everything, just like, wow, why can't he make the same like black metal that we're all just gonna fucking complain about? Why can't he
Yeah.
just do that? I'm like, if I did, you wouldn't like that either. So I have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? If
Mm.
you look at that, it's like, if they're gonna people like want you to do, they're gonna hate what they love and love what they hate. Then I have nothing to lose. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
That's definitely true. That is all. You also said like you're only competing with yourself or playing against yourself, which is of course a competition which only can have two results. Either you win or you lose, which is to me connected a lot to the question, whether the glass is half empty or half full. Um, how would you see yourself? A half empty or a glass half full person?
Um, I'd say glass half full, believe it or not, because I really try to find something, anything that I like,
Mm.
uh, with it, about any with with people, with music, with life, or just anything, I try to find like something good about it first. Like even if I like, well, I don't really like this, but let me see. Let me find something good about it. Like, you
Hmm.
know, um, I would say that, and then after that, and then when I then then I'm a glass is half empty kind of person after that, Like I try to be the glass half full first, find good in people and
Hmm.
find what they can do and what's good about them, find what they can do instead of uh, trying to find what's not good about them or what they can't do. I try to find what's good first, and then when I can't find it or it's just not enough, then yeah, then I'm back to glass. Then I'm glass is half empty. If
That
that, I don't
sounds
know
like
if
a
that
very
makes any sense.
pragmatic approach to life, I think, which is also, I think, a very good approach to life. Being an optimist can suck because all of a sudden the glass is empty, and being a pessimist never gives you enough water. Um, what what I also found about the record is that sometimes, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes I had a feeling of there is a restless character behind it. Somebody who is never never content with a first or second or third result. Is that something, is there something in you, like a certain restlessness?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm like a tougher critic on myself than uh, than you'd imagine. I'm a tougher critic on myself than the critics, So that has something to do with it. I get um, if I don't get restless and if I'm not all over the place and making things that are completely unexpected to me or completely opposite to the songs before, the ones I made last week or yesterday. If I don't, I'll get bored of it. I'll get bored. I get bored for people and I get bored for myself. I'm like,
Mm,
it's just like I have to bring it. It better be weirder than what I did yesterday. It better be
mm,
more complicated. It better interrupt itself more. It better, it's just like I'm restless like that. Like I'm like it's nothing's really ever good enough. And I mean, if I'm lucky, so to me anyway, like being my own critic, like best I could do is be satisfied with something I did like a couple months later. I'm like, yeah, I haven't made myself dislike that song or record, or like 6 months later, I might still like it. But I'm trying to like these days I'm finally able to make songs that I look back on and um, I like them a year later, 2 years later. I'm trying to make things that like in the past, like in 15, 20 years ago, I used to make songs and I'm like, well, that's cool, that'll do. I mean, that's the best I could do. And then like a few days later, I'm like, God, what was I thinking? The song sucks. You know what I mean? I used to have that happen, but that's not. I'm that's something I'm working on. Like songs I could actually look back on and um, if I could give it like a B minus, like uh, 6 months later, that's I guess that's good enough. Or I mean, I did everything I could to get that B minus. I'll think about that. I'm like, well, I did. I tried everything I could, and that's the best I could do. So I can't like. I wish I could give it an A, but I'll give it a B minus or something. these days I'm just working on, you know, if I do even more than I can do, you know, like I'm trying to like I've been a believer in I guess not just in music, but you know, playing and writing beyond your abilities, and then you'll have to grow it. You'll have no choice, but you'll have to grow into them.
Hmm.
You you'll have to, you know what I mean? Like this is way too hard for me to do. It's like, well, you did it, and now that you did it, now you have to do it because now you know how to do it because you did it. Like
You mean like pushing yourself more and pushing your limits more?
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just like this is going to be hard. How am I going to remember it? Well, you're able to write it, so you know, it's like
Mm.
you know, it's like a cat stuck in a tree. It's just like cat's like meowing at you and like saying like, "Yeah, how do I get down?" And just
Well, you
like,
could get
"Well,
up.
shit, you got up that tree. Like
Yeah,
you got you can figure a way to come back down." You know,
yeah. I
it's
won't
kind of like,
call the firefighters for you.
yeah, exactly. Like you got up there, you can get down. You know, so it's kind of like that. Like
Mm. Something that you mentioned in there, like pushing boundaries, pushing yourself more, that is something that in a lot of ways is often said about jazz music. You know, like what else can it be? How different can it be? And there is a lot of jazz and a lot of groove on the record. Um, was that a difficult thing for you to learn? All that grooviness, that jazziness?
I just have to use uh I have to learn from my imagination rather than learning how to do something
Mm-hmm.
that somebody else is doing or how it's done or
Mm-hmm.
supposedly. I think that's really what it is. So it's just you know, like I hear some jazz stuff. I'm like, I don't know who this is or what. Like I get the idea of it, and now I'm gonna put that aside, and I'm just gonna, you know, I've heard somebody's mind and imagination run wild, and that's what it's all about. It's not about learning what it is. Now I'm gonna put that aside, and now I'm gonna let my fucking, you know, I'm gonna let my mind run wild
Mm-hmm.
now. That's how I take influence from things. You know what I mean? Like I don't learn, I don't copy. Like like learning and copying can kind of fall, kind of accidentally happen, and I don't want that to happen. So I just, you know, it's about, you know, adding as many notes to something as you possibly can, and like the strangest time signatures, you know, uh, and now I'm gonna try to. Now I'm just gonna do that, like with whatever kind of music it is that I'm making. You know what I mean?
But can you see that people connect inevitably dark and also other things that you've done in the last decade? That people connect this to jazz?
Not really. I mean, it's just it's just you know, like after um, inevitably dark, um, or before it even was released officially, um, I started. I took it further. I took it way further after it was. That was just where I was at 2020, 2021. Part of I don't think not much of 2022, but it's just like that's where I was at for those couple of years. Like
Mm.
that's and like I've really taken it farther. Like I was saying earlier, like it's it's acoustic still, but it's I've gotten really way more jazzy with it. I've gotten way more technical. It's just like, you know, it's like heavy. It's like acoustic
Mm.
music is heavy. Like I guarantee it, you know. And you know, hear me now, believe me later, you know. Um but yeah,
But is that then stuff that you have already put out, or is that stuff that you have released under a different moniker, or is it stuff that we can expect in the upcoming years?
Well, I'm gonna have to sit on it for a while.
Mm.
I really want to play it live at like
Oh.
touring or something, and it's
Mhm.
like a surprise. It's just like, you know, it's like I'm trying to break the stereotypes of well, any kind of music really, like
Mhm.
especially uh, it's like this is too crazy to be folk now. You
Yeah.
know, it's getting there now, and it's too heavy now. It's too heavy to be folk. Now it's too weird to be folk. It's too dark, too brutal to be
Mhm.
folk. So, but it's it's not what it's kind of black metal, but it's not like what any black metal band is doing. Like I
Mhm.
know that because I could hear what I'm doing. I would never do less. I would only do more, and that's something
Mhm.
that people don't understand. Like I don't think like I would only do more. I'm not doing what I'm doing to do less. I'm not doing what I'm doing to do the same thing over and over again.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
That I just can't do. You know what I mean? Like
So that indirectly means that we can already look forward to the next stuff released by Xasthur. Um, that's a very cool thing to know. Um, because as I liked Inevitably Dark already for all its non-black metal moments, and also for black metal, but you know what I mean. I
yeah,
liked a lot of the non-black metal stuff on there. It makes me already curious about the next stuff. Um,
yeah. I mean, when I could, when I could finally give myself an A plus like 6 months later or a year later, then I don't need to do anymore. I'm done. I think that's something that'll end up happening. Like if like I mean I did all that I could do with that Inevitably Dark for the time being, and I want to when I could finally do everything I can do, and it's 100% like for any time being, like if it's 100% to me, like a year later, like I wouldn't change a thing. Like I wouldn't have done this. I would have done that instead. If there's none of that, then, you know, when I meet my own standard fully, then there's no use to keep on going. You know what I
of course
mean?
not, because then you've reached the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
I I have a few more questions before we come to our infamous quickfire round at the end. One of them, and I hope you can correct me if I'm wrong. It is said that some of the songs that you wrote have a connection to being homeless, which shall not mean that you were homeless or living on the street, but without a place you would call home. Um, is that true? And if so, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. I didn't have anywhere to live very for it happened, and I had to live in a lot of temporary places, bad places that I wouldn't call home, and I moved a lot, and that's something. Um, a homeless person who's like on Skid Row, I understand that they would those if they told me like you don't know shit about what it's like to be homeless, I or maybe they tell me you know a little bit of what it's like, that's cool, but compared to how bad I mean I had 1 foot in that world,
Mm.
and that world's dark as fuck. You can't even imagine how what a 24-hour nightmare that world is. But I do write about it a lot, and it's just it's like we're supposed to like everybody else. Everybody is supposed to be a person. Everybody is supposed to be people. We're supposed to. We forget that. those people, you don't like, you know, we can't judge anybody else these days. There's so many people that we can't judge, or we could judge, and everybody just judges homeless people just as homeless. Like, you know, it's like homeless people are, you know, do we forget that they are also, they come in every race, every color, every religion, their every sexual orientation. They're every, homeless people are every gender. You know what I mean? And it's just um, you know, and you know, the normal people we're supposed to care about, you know, about all those things. And with homeless people, we're just, they're not like, we don't care as people, you know, we don't care what race or what gender, or we don't care about, you know, they're just homeless people, you know, and like they're people too, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And we don't know their stories, and we 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 think that they're all just, you know, not we as like me and you, but I'm just
I know what
saying
you mean.
like as
Society.
people, society just like, oh, that's just a, you know, that person's a piece of shit and a junkie. And like, well, yeah, some of them are, but you know, some of them just have had, you know, or had some bad breaks that had people, like people that obviously didn't care about them at all, and let, you know, if they had anybody in their life that cared about them, they wouldn't even be there in the first place. And you know, some people, you know, some of them had jobs and families, and you know, that they lost. And you know, they're not all there because they made themselves destined to
Mm.
be there. You know, they're not all like, you know, junkies and winos. You know, they're
Mm.
people that have had some, that were like you know, not enough money, their jobs becoming obsolete. You know, sometimes that's the start of it, that puts them there, you know.
That is, of course, also very often, at least in the last 2.5, 3 years, connected to this little thing that we call pandemic. Um, is Inevitably Dark also a product of that time?
That was less, it's like less of a theme, you know, like
Mm.
uh you know, a couple of years before that, I was writing about stuff like things like that, and how it's just like, you know, I write about it like it's a darkness that hasn't, that's not talked about, not covered, not written about.
Mhm.
And like it, and it's so real. It's so real. It's not, you know, that's why um, you know, I write about it because it's real. And it's like and it's like if you see it, you know, if people like get off their damn phones and they go and they see it,
Mhm.
they have something to, they have something, they'll know what darkness is, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's, it's just like, I'm not gonna, I can't write about like Lord of the Rings fairy tale shit. I can't do it. Like it's like I just don't know how to do that, you know?
Yeah, but it
So
has also already been done in black metal. Let's. Mm.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like, so if you, you know, if you write about the darkness of homelessness, it's just like,
Mhm.
well, automatically, hey, I'm not, I couldn't be black metal even if I tried to. Now it's not black metal anymore. It's like, it's so easy to not be black metal. All you have to do is just do something weird or write something real, or,
Mhm.
you know, find a chord that you've never heard before. All of a sudden, it's not black metal anymore. So that's fine with me. You know, it's just like, it's harder to pretend. It's hard to be that limited. It's harder to pretend, you know.
What is also interesting about the record is that you wrote lyrics to it, but the record is instrumental.
Oh, right.
Why?
Yeah.
Why that decision?
Oh, God. Because you know, the lyrics would have been there. I mean, not the lyrics. I mean, the vocals and singing would have been there, I wrote the lyrics whether I had a singer or not. And maybe someday, like singing will be, those lyrics will be sung
Mhm.
by somebody, but there they are anyway. It's what would have been there. The lyrics are what would have been there. I'll
Mhm.
just put it that way.
Maybe in a live situation. That would be very interesting, Ben.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
somebody could long, like somebody could like say, well, I'm only singing these two paragraphs. I'm like, go for it. I don't, or I can't memorize all this. Like, do whatever you want with it. It's like, uh, do it, somebody could do it their way, or, however they interpret it, or pick their favorite paragraphs or whatever. Like, but I just, I mean, what was I supposed to do? On the other hand, what are you supposed to do? Like, if you get on a roll with writing lyrics, and you're writing like 10 pages every day, are you supposed to be like, well, I don't have a singer, so I'm
yeah,
just going to discard those lyrics, and I did it for nothing. I'm just not, I'm like, I can't do that. I mean,
yeah.
I was, at the time, um, I was pretty satisfied with them, and like, it's just like, just because they don't, because there's no singer, it's like, I'm not going to like throw the lyrics out the window.
Mhm.
I'll put them in there anyway, put them in the book, or I don't know if I haven't opened the LP or the CD yet, but in the
Mhm.
book, uh, I just said, well, put them in the book. Like, it's what I wrote. I write about what I see, and what, and um, I didn't, I don't have to be that way or think that way, but it's what I write about what I see. I'm not
Mhm.
saying I'm that person. I'm I'm writing about um, how fake and cheap and horrible and disgusting people are, and I'm not saying that I'm horrible, cheap, and disgusting.
I know what you mean.
People can't like draw. They can't separate. They can't tell the difference. Right?
Mhm.
So I write, just write what I see, and write what I see inside of people. And
Then let me ask it this way. Um, would you say that, I mean, like, I don't want to go to that stupid Slipknot equation where they said people equal shit because, another generalization. But would you say that over the last couple of years and decades, society has lost its value for human dignity?
oh yeah, I mean, we're in, yeah, it's like it is chaos. This is not like bolt thrower chaos. This is like the chaos isn't what, it's not like what it looks like on an album cover of some death metal band. It's like we're in an age where it's like the Aquarian age. We're supposed to be at the end of it, but but we're in the middle of it, I think.
Hmm.
And you know like people, everything is backwards.
Yeah.
People can't read, people can't think, people are in business not to do business, people need money but won't accept it. People are afraid to speak and think, and everything is backwards. Like, hate is love and love is hate. And people that you know people can't comprehend. People are, information overload. You know
Information overload, but at the same time, less ability to take information in. Yeah, that's true, definitely.
Exactly.
I have one more question before we come to the quickfire round. A few years ago, you returned to the name of Xasthur after you, I think it was in 2010 or something like that, that you said like, okay, I'm not going to use Xasthur again, and you changed and used a different moniker. A few years ago, you got back to Xasthur.
Changing the name is kind of like throwing away like a lot of work that I did, you know? Like just because the music completely needs to change and is really changing, there was no need to change the name. And then so I went by I used the name Nocturnal Poisoning for a couple. There was no need for that, you know. I'm like I don't know why, and there was never. I'm not a believer in many side projects for, you know what I mean, just put them all under one roof, all the different kind of, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's just just because the music changes doesn't mean the name had to. That's why I just went back to the Xasthur name.
Very, very interesting question. And yeah, that's true. I never looked at it that way. You know, if you change your name, you also throw away something that you've done before. Very, very interesting. So, Scott, first of all, thanks for all those interesting insight into Inevitably Dark. Also, that already exciting hint at what's going to come. And now the only thing left in here is the quickfire round. You always get two alternatives, and you have to choose. What do you like more? Mayhem versus Bathory, Roses versus Tulips, Sony versus Columbia, whatever. You know what I mean. You always get two alternatives, and you have to choose one of them. Give a short explanation for your choice. Let's start off with something I hope not too difficult. Death versus Morbid Angel.
Oh, Morbid Angel! Like I love Morbid Angel. Like no matter what. Like when I don't want to hear any death metal or black metal band ever, I still want to hear Morbid Angel. Like no matter what. It's not even. It's just Morbid Angel and Trey is just incredible to me. No matter what music it is or isn't, it's just yeah. I love Morbid Angel.
Miles Davis versus John Coltrane.
I'm a little bit more familiar with John Coltrane. I would have to go with that one. I love sometimes you just hear the bass and drums just on the side, like on the right, just dancing all over the place and with each other. Yeah, I would have to go with John Coltrane.
For your next vacation, where would you go? The mountains or the seaside?
The mountains. I prefer the forest too, but I'd say mountains over. I don't really like the ocean very much.
Okay.
I'm picky about the ocean.
Something cultural. Don't ask me why. I don't know why I came up with this, but I think I imagine you to be somebody who enjoys the movies. And so classical 80s stuff, Predator versus Alien.
I like Alien and Aliens. You know the other one. I like Aliens. You know, with that Bishop guy. I'll go with Aliens over Predator. I'm not really. Predator is just. It's just like one of those like Commando type of movies to me. You know.
That's true. I guess the next one will not be that easy because it's a classic controversy. Which one do you prefer, the Beatles or the Stones?
Oh, Rolling Stones, totally.
Well, that was a quick answer.
Yeah, I didn't have to think about that one.
Yeah. Edgar Allan Poe versus Nathaniel Hawthorne.
I'm barely familiar with some, like 5% of Edgar Allan Poe, so I would go with Edgar Allan Poe. I'm a little more familiar with him.
The last two, Robert Johnson versus Junior Kimbo.
I'm more familiar with Robert Johnson, like a lot more. So I say Robert Johnson.
And the last one, Arlo Guthrie versus Woody Guthrie.
I can't tell the two apart. I don't know. I don't know which one's which.
Well, one of them is alive. The other one is his father.
One of them like played at Woodstock or something. I don't know.
I would have to look that one up, but I'm pretty sure it was Woody. I'm pretty sure it was Woody because I would have to look that up.
Arlo and Woody, weren't they the same age or the same person anyway? Like weren't they around doing their thing at the same time?
No. Woody is Arlo's father. Woody is Arlo's father, and so Arlo is still alive, if I remember correctly.
I thought they were both. I thought they were both from the '60s or something.
No. Arlo started making music very early in the '60s, if I remember correctly. But his father, Woody is his father, and he's the one who wrote all those classic folk songs, like "This Land Is My Land," that is Woody Guthrie.
Yeah, so, like that's the stereotype of folk that I just can't. I just don't. Just not into that stereotype.
Okay. So then it would be I don't want to say psychedelic because that's not it, but I would like to say the more hippie-esque thing, but because then it's Arlo.
I love psychedelics. I love Jefferson Airplane and all that.
Okay. Very interesting question. So for everybody who enjoyed this interview as much as I did, leave us a line on Facebook or on Instagram. Tell us what you liked, which question we should have asked, and which we have forgotten. So follow us, give us a little comment. If you like even more what we do, then have a look at our website where you can find the information for our Patreon. And otherwise, I have to say thank you to Scott for doing this. And now, Scott, your chance for final last words.
I would really like to say thanks for you sound like you're into what you're doing. You sound like you're into what you're hearing and asking and talking about, and I appreciate that a lot. I don't really know what else to say other than I'm trying to like I don't like personally. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of like doing a new album and not touring. Like I don't think that I think I have to do more than just do albums. That's not enough for me or for anybody else anymore. So I'm trying to I don't know if I'm trying to plug any tour in particular, but I'm trying to bring some surprises live, and I'm just looking to tour a lot.
That would be awesome. So hope to see you in Europe. Otherwise, Scott, thanks for your time. Everybody listen to Inevitably Dark. It's an awesome record. And well, thanks for listening.
Thank you.